Good afternoon, my name is Alena Shautsova. I am an employment attorney from New York. In today's video, I would like to answer some of you guys' questions about what happens in New York State Division of Human Rights. What happens after you file your charge of discrimination with the New York State Division of Human Rights. So you may be aware that if you would like to sue your employer, or let's say you don't even want to sue at this point, you just want to have their attention and resolve the issue of discrimination that you believe is happening concerning you, you need to file a charge of discrimination. And one of the most common places that people turn to do that, you have options. First of all, you can do it with EEOC and with New York State Division of Human Rights. So there are two places, actually three if you live in New York City. You can also try New York City Commission on Human Rights, but the most common ones that I've seen, the place where a person would go, it's New York State Division of Human Rights. That being said, also, you have to know that if you file your charge with EEOC, for investigation purposes, very often it is referred to New York State Division of Human Rights. So let's talk about what happens there. What happens? Well, first of all, the process starts with your complaint or charge alleging what happened to you. Basically, you have to be very specific and put it in writing as to what happened to you, why you believe you're being discriminated, what are the instances of discrimination, if you complained, if you tried to resolve this with your employer, and what happened, and if you have any witnesses as to what has been happening to you. For example, if you've been harassed, if anyone heard name calling, if your supervisor gives you some unfavorable assignments, if you're being disciplined, if you're being harassed, like you cannot use the lunchroom at the same time with others because you feel uncomfortable, or perhaps your workspace have been messed with, and it can vary. It may vary what may happen to you at work. But what happens? So first of all, you have to receive an acknowledgement after you file your charge that your claim was in fact submitted. It's very, very important. I would recommend that you follow up with EEOC or New York State Division of Human Rights if you didn't receive such an acknowledgement, because at times, even though rare, they do overlook your charge, especially if you filed it by fax. And by the way, you can file your charge by fax. It's very important that you know that. You don't have to go in person, even though sometimes people choose to do so just so they have someone to help them to fill out that intake, but you can submit everything by fax to them too. So after you received an acknowledgement of your claim, for a very long time, nothing really happens. Nothing really happens. Your case is going to be pending for some time, and at some point it's either going to be referred to mediation unit if you filed your case with EEOC, or New York State Division of Human Rights is going to do investigation. What this means is that they're going to reach out to you and going to interview you very thoroughly over the phone, usually, especially during this time. And hopefully they're going to reach out to your witnesses and you and the other side, if the other side chooses to participate. Sometimes the other side ignores the filing, an invitation by New York State Division of Human Rights or EEOC to answer your charge, but if they don't, they usually reply in writing as to why they believe your charges are not true and what happened according to their side of the story. So it's very important to keep track of all this paperwork. It's very important to prepare for that phone call with an investigator, which they call an interview, but it's more like questioning depositions. They write down your answers and they seek to establish that connection between protected ground and discrimination. Why these things that happen to you happen? Did it happen just because your supervisor doesn't like you in general, or does your supervisor really trying to discriminate against you because of your religion, because of your color, because of your race? All right, so they're looking for that connection. At times, they're also going to have a public hearing after, let's say, they issue determination of probable cause. They believe that there is something going on there that raises to the level of discrimination. They can then issue an invitation for both parties to participate in a public hearing with New York State Division of Human Rights. Well, it's not really public because it's an administrative hearing where now both sides have more rights to depose the witnesses, and of course you, the complainant, and then the administrative judge is going to make his or her findings. Well, the thing is this: unfortunately for federal court, these findings don't have the same force, meaning that the federal court is not bound by these findings, okay? And you need to know about this, and you need, if you have a lawyer, you need to discuss this with your attorney, because you may think that let's say even if you receive a probable cause determination, your employer now is going to be obligated to compensate you in any way. But unless there is a specific action by New York City Commission on Human Rights, or there is a lawsuit brought by EEOC for you, but sometimes the division steps in and takes over, which is very rare actually. Usually they do it when there is a mass, almost like a class action rights violations. Determinations by the division's administrative determination by the administrative tribunal, and they do not going to have the same effect as a court judgment. All right, so it's very important. So basically what happens is that there will be an investigation. It can be used against you or in your favor, but those documents that you produce, of course, are going to be part of your case. And if you are going to sue the employer later, keep this in mind. All right, that's why it's so important to have a qualified representation from the very beginning, because everything that you do will affect your chances of actually receiving the judgment that can be enforced later. But that judgment can be obtained only from a federal court. Okay, so I have more videos and I have more information on my website as to how to prepare for your charge when you're going to charge your employer, what to do in mediation, how to address the involvement of your union, for example. Sometimes you have a union. So please visit our website, workharassmentattorneys.com, and leave your comments, ask questions, and I hope to see you soon.